Congress. It seems to say they complied with the Epstein Transparency Act, that the redactions were justified. Is that how you see it?
No, and I think the timing of this letter is very coincidental. She bombed before us in House Judiciary on Wednesday, completely unhinged. And as a result, she sends out this letter really to deflect from her disastrous performance in the House Judiciary and to diffuse the fact that Donald Trump is listed over 38,000 times in the Epstein files that have been released so far. I've gone to see the files. They are unnecessary redactions. They have still exposed the names and addresses of survivors. And ultimately, what this is about is demanding transparency and accountability from a DOJ that seems committed to covering up for predators and Donald Trump and continuing to intimidate and berate survivors who've been courageous enough to stand up.
So let's look at that list in the DOJ's letter of all government officials and politically exposed persons named in the Epstein files. Alleged Epstein co-conspirator Les Wexner is on that list, as is Noam Chomsky, who had a close relationship with Epstein. Donald Trump is there. But among the some 300 names or so, you've got Elvis, Marilyn Monroe, and Janis Joplin, all of whom have been dead for decades. What is that about? How is that complying with the law?
Those people have been quite dead. And if they are still alive, I'm scared. What it shows is that this is part of a massive cover-up and that Attorney General Pam Bondi is working on behalf of Donald Trump and not the American people. It also does not clarify the fact that what's in the files includes emails from Jeffrey Epstein, sometimes memorializing things to himself, articles, and other documents. So there's no context for any of the names that have been released. And once again, I think it is to muddy the waters, to essentially say, well, Donald Trump is in him, but so is Marilyn Monroe. So it can't be all bad. And ultimately, this is about an international human trafficking ring where girls and some boys were exploited. And we want to get to the bottom of why there have been no prosecutions and why this attorney general is not prosecuting predators.
Hey, look, you'd be scared if those long dead, celebrities were still around. I frankly would lead the show with that. I'd be like, we're going with this because guess what? Anyway, not a laughing matter is Epstein survivor Jess Michaels, who told me yesterday she can confirm the release of the Epstein files is not complete. Listen to what she said.
I'm one of the survivors that's victim statement is missing. So, I'm figuring out ways to safely reach out to the DOJ and demand a meeting with her. And I think all of us are demanding a meeting with her because there are between 302s that are missing, victim statements that have been left unredacted, between statements that we know there are important people that should be being investigated and are not. We should be heard.
What more can you and your fellow lawmakers do to help Jess get justice that she and the other survivors need from the DOJ?
I think the judiciary hearing was incredibly telling. I mean, afterwards, I went to review the files, and it was overwhelming. A, the number of pages that you have to go through. B, the fact that you were reading about 9, 10, 11-year-old girls being brutalized and treated like disposable commodities, on top of the fact that you have a Department of Justice that refuses to interview, acknowledge the suffering and brutality that these women suffered, and prosecute those. I mean, we could be seeing prosecutions happen right now. We could be seeing subpoenas and depositions happening right now for those that are listed in the files. And instead, they're deflecting, they're diffusing, they're insulting us in hearings, and ultimately they are disrespecting the survivors from the Epstein, but also men and women who are battling with survivor syndrome from being brutalized and assaulted all across this country. It shows you how derelict this attorney general is and how she refuses to take accountability for the information she has at her hands, at her disposal.
Listen, To that end, you had a combative exchange with her when you asked her about transparency within the DOJ, particularly about the removal of a report about far-right attacks. We're going to play some of that exchange. Here it is, everyone.
There are violent, dangerous people out here with real threats, and the dishonesty from your agency comes from the covering up of these threats that could hurt American people and put our lives at risk. Do better. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chair.
The lady yields back. The gentleman from North Carolina is recognized.
May I have one moment?
You may.
Her district includes Culver City, and she's not talking about any crime in her districts, nothing about helping crime in her district. She's not even worth getting into the details.
Culver City? That's like a really nice area. Clearly, she's never been to Culver City. She probably had some stats somewhere. But why do you think she reacted that way?
I mean, that was an excerpt of some feral behavior on behalf of this attorney general. She reacted that way because she had no answers to the questions that I was asking her on behalf of the American people. Melissa Hortman and her husband were brutally killed. There has been a rise in right-wing extremist violence. And there was a report, actually, from the research arm of Department of Justice that was put up on the website, corroborated by other organizations like Anti-Defamation